Hi, welcome. This is Regina Carson. I am the Women in Big Data local chapter director for the San Francisco Silicon Valley Bay Area. And we're very thrilled to have a webinar today with Go Coach. Go Coach is going to step through basically what is coaching, and they've generously offered to provide some free coaching to the people that have signed up for the webinar and some other great stuff. They have been featured in the likes of Forbes and Business Insider and so forth. So we're really thrilled to have the opportunity to have this discussion today. Just wanted to take 1 second to introduce Women in Big Data. So let me know when you can see my laptop. Hold on here. This in presentation mode. Okay, can you guys see my laptop?
Yep, we can see it.
Great. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about Women in Big Data quickly. We are a community of women that are loosely organized around interest in data science. We have over 15,000 members in 5 continents. And this number is from 2019, so I'm sure we've grown even more so in the past several months. And we do this through networking and training, and it's a combination of virtual experiences, which we'll be doing for sure all of our events for Q2 virtually. And then eventually we'll kick in with the in-person events as well once the community settles down a bit around the C19 business that we're in the middle of. So just ask that you feel free to join a local chapter. Check us out at womeninbigdata.org. You can join our LinkedIn group, which is Women in Big Data Forum. You can follow us on Twitter at Data Women or on Instagram at Women in Big Data Global. And we do have a video, but we do plan to update that. So that's kind of it from my perspective. Basically, what I'd like to do now is go ahead and pass the baton over to Go Coach. To basically go ahead and, sorry, I'm having some pilot error here, to go ahead and kick off the discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you, Regina, and thanks everyone for joining us today. We're so excited to partner with Women in Big Data and have this conversation about the importance of coaching and really how it can benefit you. So I'm Abby. I am the Coach Community Manager and Marketing Manager at Go Coach. So before we get started, I just wanted to do a quick tech check just to make sure that we can optimize your experience on Zoom. So if you go to the top right of your Zoom window and you hit gallery view, you'll be able to see all of the panelists at once. And then if you go to the bottom of your Zoom window, you'll also see a chat button. So if you click that, and then you click the drop down that says all panelists and attendees, you can write messages in the chat during the webinar with any questions, comments, or words of encouragement. So we'd love to hear from you. And so I'm going to be moderating the chat. So if you have any questions, I'll be sure to respond to you as quickly as possible, and also pose the questions to our moderator, who is Christy, our CEO and founder at Go Coach. So Christy, I'm going to pass things over to you.
Great. Thank you, Abby. And again, thank you, Regina, for working with us to put this virtual event together. So as Abby mentioned, I'm CEO and founder of Go Coach. I'm actually a former CHRO that really want to be able to give back and provide upskilling to all employees. And so after my last corporate job, and especially seeing so many people leave companies due to lack of professional development, and at the same time for us throwing out people due to lack of skills, and knowing that there was a huge community of coaches out there, The idea was to bring them together, you know, in this community, in this marketplace, to be able to upskill all employees, entry level to executive level, and hard and soft skills. So we've been in business for 2 years, and yeah, we're working with many companies, and we also have a B2C side also. We're working with a lot of consumers to be able to advance and hone their skills and development. In light of everything that's going on with COVID-19, we are also offering free coaching to displaced workers. A lot of people have lost their jobs and will continue to lose their jobs. And so we are going to continue to give back to the community out there by helping people get ready for what's next in their career with that job help and aid. In addition, more than ever, do we need more leaders out there continuing to help so many other people, not only with everything that's going on with COVID-19, but just to be able to advance themselves and advance their people to really lead through a lot of change and a lot of ambiguity. So we're also offering an 8-part training session that's free. That's going to cover topics from remote management to change management to interviewing remotely, fierce conversations, and more. So definitely check out our blog at gocoachgo.com, and you'll be able to see the virtual training that we're offering to all managers and leaders that are out there, and it's all for free. So I want to, just say hello here and welcome Priya and Christina, who are 2 of our amazing coaches at Go Coach. They have both come to me in very different ways since we first created Go Coach, and their passion of wanting to give back and help others. And so what we're going to do with this time is just really go over, essentially, what is coaching and why is it important? And, Priya and Christina are going to help me lead this conversation so that we can educate you on the power of coaching and what it means to upskill yourself. So Priya, do you want to give a little intro of yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Christy. Hi, everybody. I'm Priya Gopal. I'm part of the Go Coach team. And I also have my own company, do a lot of coaching and consulting. So my main focus is leadership, communication, and innovation. I work to develop high-performing collaborative teams and leaders. And I'm especially excited about this because I'm passionate about developing women leaders and creating diverse and inclusive cultures. And I run a leadership program called Power, Presence, Influence. So great to be here and great to talk about the benefits of coaching.
Great, thank you, Priya. And Christina, please introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you so much, Christy. Hi, everybody. I'm Christina. I've spent about 10 years in talent acquisition. So I always say I've been on the other side of the interview table. I also run my own coaching practice as well, where I help career changers find out their next step and help them get career ready. So I'm super excited to be here today, share a little bit of my experience and my knowledge, and just really help to inspire others.
Great. Thank you. All right, well, to kick off this, I'm going to ask a question that is often misconstrued or confused all the time. What is coaching, and how does that differ from being a mentor or a therapist or anything else? Like, what is the definition of a coach? Priya?
Yeah, sure. So I'll share a little bit about, professional coaching, the way we look at it. And to me, it's a collaborative relationship. It's where the coach can really help their clients achieve their goals, whether it's advancing their careers, they're improving their productivity, work-life balance, business performance, whatever their goal is. It's very client-focused. It's driven by the clients. And essentially, there is a trust that's created between the coach and the client. And the coach is really your advocate who can help you navigate these challenges and maximize your potential. So at the end of the day, professional coaching is about advancing the client's agenda, and it's very results oriented. So yeah, that's sort of a quick take on coaching.
Thanks, Priya. And Christina, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think Priya did a good job of summing it up. I do get this question a lot from people as far as what is the difference from a professional coach and what is the difference from a mentor. And I think one of the biggest things that is important to point out is that a coach is there to hold you accountable, and they are there to help you follow a plan to achieve your goals. So, they're sort of giving you like step-by-step guidance, and they're giving you that extra push in addition to mentorship. I think the accountability part is really big when thinking about working with a professional coach.
Yep. And I think it's also important to add, I mean, that, a lot of coaches, have certifications, to really help unlock the growth mindset that a lot of people, struggle with because they don't know where to start. And, when you are in a growth mindset, there is so much potential for you to be able to learn and grow, especially if you have somebody that's there for you that is helping unlock that potential and unblock you from, having a fixed mindset prior. So thank you. I appreciate that. And then Bria or Christina, what do you see as the biggest benefits of coaching? Like, why should somebody get coaching?
Yeah, I can go. So really, the way I think of coaching, it really benefits everybody. I mean, no matter your level, you could be starting out in your career, or you could be an accomplished leader. I think there's benefits because to me, coaching is really about drawing out your potential. It's really about maximizing what you have, about creating a very clear path to advancement. So it doesn't matter what your role is. It's funny, I look back at my own career, and now I wish I had a coach like, gosh, 15 years ago when I started. So it's, there's that misconception that you need a coach only when you're underperforming. But to me, I feel like coaching really accelerates careers. It's a difference, a day and night sort of difference. If you want to develop your leadership skills or really exponentially maximize your potential, I think that's when coach can come in and really help you. So there are tremendous benefits to coaching, whether it's confidence development, clarifying your goals, like I said, job and work-life balance. A coach can really help you kind of get there.
Yep. No, thank you, Priya. I think the other way to look at it too is that it's personalized learning. It's really meeting people where they're at within their career or just in life in general. There's so much information out there, and I think we all realize that right now of how much information is out there, and it's really hard to digest all that information. And so when you have somebody that you're working with in a safe and supportive environment whose main focus and only focus is to be able to help you, they're going to meet you where you're at, and they're going to give you that development and learning. Christina, anything to add as to the benefits of coaching and all the different things that people can be coached on?
Yeah, I think a benefit is that there is never a bad time to be coached. A lot of people wait until they quote unquote need a coach, but you can be coached at any different stage in your career. And I think that that's something to keep in mind. And that's a huge benefit of it. Whether you are working on your self-awareness, or you are trying to, boost your cognition at work, or, you need help staying motivated, or you need help with your social skills, or leading a team. There's all sorts of different ways that you can work on that throughout your career without necessarily waiting for a big presentation that you have to give, or waiting for a meeting that you have. There's sort of ways that you can incorporate it in your career throughout, just to grow as a professional.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. And then when you think about this, and this is the Women in Big Data group, and I'm so happy to see all of us women here leading this group. But engineering is typically dominated by men, and so how do you navigate working in a field like engineering? And then what coaching would you advise, especially to the women out there, who are still a minority in this field that we're hoping to change very quickly?
Yeah, Christy, that's a great question. It's I work with a lot of women in the tech field, in fintech specifically here in New York City. It's a huge community. And I get that question all the time, and it's a real challenge. What I recommend, and just devise plans working with clients, is really looking at a situation with a lot of empathy. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not about us versus them, women versus men, but it's about making allies and really collaborating. So I think if you approach it with that mindset, first off, I think it really helps set a tone for any of those interactions. But having said that, I think those challenges are real. And a lot of that stems from unconscious biases, right? I mean, people may not even know that they have a certain prejudice, or they have a certain belief or a mindset. So I think, for a lot of women who are trying to navigate that, it's really important to kind of put a stop to that. Like when you recognize that bias, it's important to kind of say, I get it, but again, look at it with a lot of empathy. So one of the things I hear constantly, just to give you an example, there's a client who had talked to me and said, well, I really want to move into a more technical role, but I'm getting a lot of resistance from my manager because somehow they don't believe that I can do a more technical job, which is so crazy because, this client is very passionate, very interested in doing that. The other thing I hear a lot is, in meetings, and I'm sure many of us have been in that situation, where you make a point, you have an idea, and then there's no reaction. And then your male counterpart, says the same thing in a different way probably. And all of a sudden it's like, wow, that's a great idea. So what I often recommend is, like having a way to really communicate that and say, hey, John, thanks, that's a fantastic idea. Thanks for rephrasing how I just said it. Like call them out on it, and that's okay. I think that's where being assertive and confidence in your belief is super important. So again, I think the point I'm trying to make here is look at it with empathy, but at the same time be firm and be able to handle that, because it is a real situation, and if we all together try and put a stop at it and a stop to it and then try to look at it in a different way, we can certainly change that. But we need allies.
Yep. I couldn't agree with the ally situation even more. I think that, when you look at coaching, they are an ally because they don't have that unconscious bias. They just have the bias of being able to help you. And that's their focus. And so that is something that I think anyone should be looking at taking advantage of, irregardless of what your profession is. The other big question that we get a lot, and I'm sure Priya and Christina can answer this, let's talk about like the ethics, and the confidentiality component of coaching, because I don't think that people quite understand that either. So Christina, when you hear ethics and confidentiality of coaching, like what does that really mean to the profession and how we're helping others?
Yeah, I think it has to do a lot with trusting your coach. I think a big part of hiring a professional coach and needing a professional coach is you are looking for that guidance, and you want to work with somebody that you can trust. And I think that also goes into having a certification as a coach and being able to, hold yourself accountable as a coach to be the person for the individual that you're working with. And you have to build that level of trust to break down those walls and to break down the barriers to push that person to be their best self and to hit their goals. So that's definitely a really important aspect in professional coaching.
Thank you. Priya, anything to add?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say, definitely building on what Christina said, but it's important to really be principled about certain things, right? The ICF, the International Coaches Federation, has a lot of great guidelines for coaches. And I think following that, because it is a profession that's rooted in a lot of art and science. And so confidentiality becomes super critical, because I think to build that trust, you need to be able to trust your coach, and knowing that those conversations are confidential, that they're private, that you are able to speak honestly in full transparency with the coach is super important. So I think laying down those ethical guidelines for us as coaches, but also from a client standpoint, being able to communicate that and setting those expectations become super critical.
Yeah. And I think the other thing to look at is that, people who go into coaching really have a sole mission of, how they're able to help others. Like it's their way of being able to give back. And it's their way of being able to, continue to upskill and educate people. So I think that, the best part, about coaching, when it comes to the confidentiality and when it comes to the ethical standards, is that you're already working with somebody that has pretty much, set this as their life to be able to help others. And so I think that this comes with a lot of kudos and accolades for, that type of individual, because, coaching, is not easy. Just like a lot of jobs aren't easy. When people are connecting with people and they want to be able to help them, that there's a lot of things that go in building that relationship. And, when you hurt, your coach hurts. And that's how, that coach helps you get through, for whatever next step. And so, trust is important. And on the topic of trust, we're in a virtual world right now, but that there is a virtual coaching and there is in-person coaching. And so, Priya and Christina, what are your thoughts on, is there anyone that's better or, preference? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Sure, I'm happy to give my opinion on virtual coaching. I'm a huge fan of virtual coaching. I think one of the benefits about coaching is that it's can be done virtual, especially with all of the technology nowadays. I also think from the person who's getting coached, their point of view, a lot of companies are moving in the direction of being remote and remote work, and using all sorts of technology to make that happen. So it's important for that person to be able to be comfortable in that kind of a setting. And I think that that's something that a coach can work with with people on. So, for example, if somebody is trying to, if they're interviewing at a company and the interview is virtual, working with a coach to be comfortable with that, because it can be kind of awkward to pop open your laptop and just sort of talk into the air when nobody else is in the room. So I think that's a huge benefit, and a lot of companies are moving in that direction. So it's something that is positive.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely, I think in these times, especially, I mean, think about the situation we're in. Being able to be comfortable with virtual coaching is super important, and I think also distances. Sometimes you just have a connection with the coach. So if you're working with someone across countries, I had a client I worked with in China before, and honestly, it's not practical to sit down face to face. But having said that, I also think there's a lot of value in in-person coaching. There's some clients who just open up better when they're in person. Sometimes for a coach, it's sort of you sense the energy in a room. You see how the mood shifts, and a lot of what we do in coaching is also that active listening component. So that matters as well. But I'd say at the end of the day, it's the client's style, what their preference, and what they're comfortable with. As long as you can still establish that relationship of trust and be able to, have a really good coaching engagement, which is powerful and gets to the client goals. That flexibility, whether it's virtual or in person, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the other big thing too is that, when we talk about virtual, we have been a global, economy and world, forever, but it's, how we connect with people. And I know one of the biggest things that, we're constantly seeing, with D&I and other, cultural communications and understandings, is that when you're working with a coach that, is helping you with, cultural connections and D&I, it's really great to be able to connect with somebody that, isn't right around the corner from you, but that has a different perspective, that has, more than just a toolkit of coaching, but they actually have those experiences to be able to share and what it means, as we continue to hone our own cultural competencies and what that means, globally. So I think that there's a lot of things that benefit from, just working with somebody and knowing someone that can help you in that area. So then that goes to the question, especially if we're doing this remotely, how do you know if a coach is the right fit? What I mean? Because I know at Go Coach, we make sure that every coachee gets to interview their coaches. But Christina and Priya, what are your thoughts on that? How do you know a coach is the right fit for you?
Sure. So I think there's a few different ways that you can tell if a coach is the right fit for you. So my recommendation would be to think about people that you've worked with in the past that have had an influence on you. So it can be a teacher, a boss, a mentor, a therapist, even, any coach-like figures that you've worked with who have encouraged you. Maybe they've inspired you. Maybe they've pushed you to get to the next level, reach a goal, and think about what qualities they've had in common and why you enjoyed working with that person. So there are two types of coaches, in my opinion. So one can be described as the encouraging type and the positive type, and the one who's really there to sort of cushion you. And then there's also that other piece where it's more tough love, and they're sort of going to give you a little kick, give you a little push. And both qualities are great to have. It's just more so thinking about who do you relate to more and who are you going to get the most out of. So that would be my take on it.
Priya, anything to add?
Yeah, definitely. No, I totally agree with what Christina said. I mean, that connection is super important. I think what I always recommend clients or potential clients is be very clear about what you want. In other words, your style. How's your learning preference? Whether it's, again, you want that tough love, or it's more about I need someone who's a little bit more encouraging, softer. Sometimes, even the experience matters. There's some clients who actually have a preference for a certain kind of skill they want to develop. So for example, communication. Then you want someone with that experience who's probably been able to do that for clients. So it's really important to be clear and always, ask a lot of questions from coaches. I always tell people that is you really need to be able to feel comfortable and be able to actually create that relationship with them. So ask a lot of questions, make sure that you have everything covered. And I know most coaches, especially I know our Go Coach coaches, are always open to answering questions. If you don't know something, we're always going to get back. So ask questions.
Yeah. Thank you, Priya. And I think the other way to be able to, find, that right coach, I remember the first time that I was coached, and I didn't like my coach, to be quite honest, because one, I didn't pick them. It was somebody, it was part of our executive management training at the one company, and this one coach came in and pretty much coached all of us. And, that there was a style and an issue that just wasn't jiving with me. And I remember going to my CEO at the time. I was just like, while this individual is working well for you, they're not really working well for me. And to be quite honest, I'm kind of bothered that one person is coaching all 12 of us. And so, I tell you that story because it's really important. When you look at coaching, it's really about what it means for you. The good news is that I was allowed to go out and, interview coaches to help me. And I did find a coach, and the coach actually sparked a connection that I didn't even know was there, as far as, the values that the coach embodied were the same values that I had. And having that shared connection, I think, immediately gave me the ability and the agility to want to learn, because we all say that we want to learn, but, we have to be connected to something to be able to open up that door of learning. And I definitely know that the individual that helped me, it was an immediate connection. And, we did have a lot of tough love sessions, to Christina's point. But, it was tough love as far as, helping, me evolve, as a leader and as a person. So listening skills are very important. When you find that connection to be there, definitely take advantage of it. So, we're talking about technology. We're talking about, coaching. Coaching's been around since the beginning of time, whether we realize it or not. How do you see coaching further evolving, within the workplace and, particularly where we are right now?
Yeah, I think, Christy, you mentioned technology. That's a big part. And now when you look at the startups today, they're just teams that are distributed, right? There are teams across geographies, countries, continents even. So I think that's sort of the way the workplace is evolving. A lot of people want that flexibility. So when you think about it and you think of, how do we get teams to work together collaboratively? I see team coaching as a big piece of this sort of trend in the future. While, there are individual needs, there are personalized needs, but being able to help teams sort of manage that, whether it's brainstorming virtually, whether it's being aligned to the company's mission. So I think there's something about, being able to work towards a common goal. So I see that as a big trend. Also the fact that now coaching, and I know with the Go Coach platform, we're really trying to democratize coaching. And I think that level of access, not just to top executives, but to pretty much everybody who wants it, I think that's the other sort of future for coaching.
Yeah. Christina, anything to add there?
I think Priya makes a good point and we covered this earlier sort of too, but coaching can be for everybody, and it has been around for a while, but I think growing, the opportunities are endless. And since we are moving to having remote teams and people in different areas, being able to learn and coach people on how to communicate with others and just being able to handle those kind of situations, I think there's a lot of opportunity for growth, and I think that that's something that we're going to see a lot of in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the other thing, just to add, as far as seeing coaching evolving, where it was just for executives, and we're definitely doing this at Go Coach, where we're making it accessible for all. People need to realize the flip side of coaching is that all these coaches, have started the businesses on their own, and to be able to start your own business of coaching to help others. It's very difficult. And it's not easy. You can have, you know, a ton of clients and then all of a sudden you don't, because you're so, you know, invested in coaching and helping others. That's really hard to do all the sales side and the marketing side. And so the way that, you know, I really see coaching coming together is as a community, that we're constantly coaching each other and we're constantly serving others. And, you know, we're starting to break down those walls of, you know, individuals and really just bringing people together and you know, as an army of educators to really be able to help people. And so I really see that as the biggest thing. And that's some of the most important thing that we've been trying to do at Go Coach is to break down those barriers and, you know, open up the doors for all those that want to help others. All right. Any last thoughts on, you know, just with the evolution of coaching? Because I think that, you know, there still is a stigma out there where people just really saw it as like, you know, an executive thing. And, you know, why could this work for like a mid-level manager or, you know, somebody who's just starting their job and they're new?
Yeah, no, I love that you brought up this point about stigma. I think you're right. There is that stigma around, oh, we only need a coach when we're underperforming, or it's a cry for help, and that's really not the case anymore. And hopefully, you know, through the work we're doing, that we're able to break down those barriers. But I think, you know, what happens, especially when you're early on in your career, or you get to that mid-level, a lot of people hit that point where they're not sure about where to or how to move forward. And I think that's a great time for them to be asking for that help, for a coach to come in and to provide that guidance. I mean, very often when I talk to a lot of mid-level professionals, it's like, well, I'm kind of stuck and I don't know what to do. I've accomplished this. I mean, I could continue this job, but it doesn't excite me anymore. And those kinds of questions, to be able to really think through, okay, what are my goals? Like, does that fit into my values? You know, how does that really help me? I mean, those are all precious questions. So it just, you know, to be able to do that, to be able to co-create your goals with a coach and action on them, I think is a tremendous way to use a coach.
Yeah, I would agree. And then the other thing is that, like, you know, just like drawing on experiences, like, you know, we've all been new to a job and we've all been new to work. And one of the biggest issues, you know, we've been seeing in this country is, you know, a war on talent and at the same time a skill shortage. And this skill shortage is happening immediately, you know, when students, you know, leave college and they're going out to the workforce for the first time. And that's hard to navigate. I don't think I knew what I was doing for at least 5 years. You know, after I graduated school, and you know, with some of the companies that we're working with, we're actually starting, you know, the minute that they enter a company, not only as a new hire, but, you know, as an entry level employee, because it is tough to navigate, you know, one extreme to the next. And so I think that the way that we just have to look at this is that, you know, if you want to continue to develop and hone your skills and you want to continue to grow, you know, I mean, you should be able to start as early as possible.
Yeah,
Christina?
and Christy, sorry, I was just going to add one thing. You know, especially like I think when you get to that level where, you know, you've been doing your you know, in your function, like performing really well, and then you get to the point where you're now a manager, you're interacting with different functions, and suddenly you're like, wait a second, I know how to talk to my team, but I don't know how to communicate to all these people in marketing or any other function. So I think that level of, you know, cross-functional communication or that collaboration really becomes important, and you know, coach can sort of help you get there.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Christina, anything to add there?
Yeah, I think that those are two really great points. For individuals who are starting out in a job, they sort of have to go from, you know, what their current routine was to learning how to just be in the professional world, like learning how to work, learning how to interact with other people at different levels. You know, sometimes titles can intimidate people, and just having that guidance from a coach to be able to give them the confidence to learn how to speak to those kind of, you know, high level professionals is super important. And then to the point that Priya made, I've worked with several people who sort of are mid-level in their career and maybe they're stepping into a management role, and and sort of like this imposter syndrome kicks in where they say, oh my gosh, how did I get here? You know, am I on the right path, or am I qualified to talk to, you know, all of these high level executives in a meeting? And, you know, I'm sitting in a boardroom and I see all these people around me who have way higher titles than I do, or, you know, they're more accomplished than I am. So just being able to give people the courage and help them work through their own battles in the professional world. It's super important to look at it from, you know, all of those different perspectives and not just from one area of, you know, people who need coaching.
Cool. Thank you. So I'm going to open up the last question, and then hopefully we can get some questions from the attendees out there. But, you know, we've all been coaching for a while. What has been your most rewarding, you know, experience that you've had, and why?
Yeah, oh my God, so many. I feel so grateful and blessed to be able to do what I'm doing. You know, when you see clients struggling with their goals or that sense of feeling stuck, and you're able to help them, and then you see that moment where that light just goes off in their eyes and they're like, oh, wow, I didn't know I could do this, or all the possibilities that open up. I mean, it's magical. I love seeing that. And I think that's the rewarding part for me as a coach, and I'm sure a lot of coaches will agree with that. But it just, that power of transformation is fantastic to see. When someone started out thinking, there's no options for me, I don't know how I can do it, till they get to the point like, wait, I did this, wow. It's fantastic to watch. So every day and every moment, even the little things, it just feels very rewarding when you see that with the clients achieving success.
Yeah. Yeah. Christina, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that Priya makes a great point. It's the light bulb moment, the sort of like aha moment. Specifically, I worked with a client who had the same background as me. So I started my career in education, and I decided that I wanted to make a change to HR, and I worked in human resources. And then I decided I wanted to take everything that I learned and help others, you know, achieve the same success. And I worked with a client who did the same thing. She was teaching for, I think it was about 5 or 6 years, and she wanted to make the change. And sometimes people feel lost. They feel like they're stuck, and, you know, they don't know how to go about it. So being able to give them that guideline and that roadmap, and then sort of seeing them realize that they can do it, and, you know, you're sort of their cheerleader and pushing them and helping them get to those goals, it's really, really rewarding.
Cool. Thank you. And sorry if you do hear a little bit of background noise. I'm right near Pennsylvania Hospital, where there's a lot of helicopters going back and forth with everything going on. So I apologize, but I do want to chime in that I think the other thing that is, you know, rewarding is that, you know, when we look back at our life, you know, I mean, I think we all know we had this one teacher that was our favorite. And we had this, you know, one coach, like, you know what I mean, for, you know, basketball, baseball, soccer, that, you know, that you really learned a lot from, and they really made you, help you be a better person too. And, you know, it continues to be, you know, that next, like, you know, beacon in your life, as to be able to connect with somebody that's here with you on your journey now. Because we've all had people, you know, on our journey with us from, you know, the beginning. And why can't we continue on in that path of, you know, where somebody is really coaching and guiding you and helping you. And so I just look at all the rewards that I have personally reaped, you know, from, you know, all the people that have helped and guided me. And I think that that's the most rewarding thing, is, you know, when you're able to give it back too. So, but that's pretty much, you know, the 101 on what coaching is. I hope that we were able to answer a lot of your questions out there, but I would love to know if anybody in the audience has any questions, or if they want to ask anything from me, Priya, or Christina, because we're definitely here to help you. Well, I guess, why don't we do a quick check-in? I see a bunch of you out there. How is everybody doing? I know it's been tough, and we can use the next 20 minutes just to make sure that we're all being humans together. But how is everybody doing out there? And you could just put in the chat box, okay, doing well. But I just want to make sure that everybody is okay. Yep, it's difficult out there. Well, either way, if you want to learn more information about us or any of our coaches, definitely feel free to reach out, and we'll be sending a summary of what this is out to you, and a recording and a blog post. And so thank you.